So happy Wednesday, everyone. On behalf of PEFC, I'd like to welcome all of you to the PEFC webinar. To start with, please allow me to brief some housekeeping points. Please rename yourself using the format, your name and the organization. To enable interpretation, please search for the icon in the menu below. So you can choose the language that you feel comfortable with. We have 4 different languages. We very much welcome you to drop any question at any time during the webinar. So please ask question only in the Q&A section only. To increase our interaction opportunities, please watch out and react to the information in the chat as we are moving along. At the end of each presentation, there will be the poll question. Thank you in advance for the active participation. Please note that the webinar will be recorded and it will be live streamed on Facebook. Please do share to the network. You will see more detail about the link in the chat. And for today's program, we will, in the next hour, we will walk you through 3 sections, starting with the presentation from Richard Leahy on PEFC technical framework. We then listen to Ms. Rungnapa and Mr. Trương, who will share their experience in supporting smallholder and company in achieving certification. We will learn about PEFC control source project in Malaysia by watching a short video. The webinar will continue with the panel discussion to address common technical questions. Before the webinar ends, Richard will explain some collaboration opportunity for the collaboration. So without further ado, please welcome Richard Leahy.
Thank you, Nya. So it's great to be talking to you again as the second webinar of the Supporting Sustainable Rubber. We have received a lot of questions and follow-up, and we would like to go for a deeper dive into the technical framework of PEFC. Thanks, Nya. And so just to remind you, what is PEFC? We are an NGO and we set standards balancing the sustainability pillars. Also, we are a framework to not only inspire and help people, companies and communities reach their sustainability goals, but even demonstrate at a national level to commitments such as those for addressing climate change. Next, thanks. So PEFC, where do we work? We're a global alliance of national forest certification systems. So in this world map, you see the dark green that represents our members that are responsible for certifying more than 300 million hectares globally. And the blue dots on this map represent the chain of custody certificate holders, where we have more than 20,000 globally. These different logos you can see are our national members that have their own identity, like you can see this SFI in North America, SJEG in Japan, and most importantly for rubber, we have covered the main producing countries that represent the main producing region of Asia. And this shows how PEFC is contributing to SDG number 12. Next, thanks. So what's driving certification? We've chosen 2 examples here, one from the consumer country, Holland, where they have a TPAC, and they have assessed PEFC to be in full conformity. And so this is for the public procurement of the Dutch government. Another important assessment of PEFC is the responsible investment in agriculture and food systems, otherwise known as ASEAN RAI. We scored the highest ranking because of our approach we call it the bottom-up approach, which works with national stakeholders. And that means that we can be part of intergovernmental regional processes. Thanks, John. So what are the two types of certification we promote? The first is where you can see our avatar, Ari, planting her rubber plantation. We certify the plantations first, and that means that we have healthy forests, healthy workers, healthy communities, and a healthy local economy. And then to connect Ari to the end user, we have the chain of custody certification. This is the second type that PEFC uses. And the chain of custody ensures the origin is from sustainably managed forests. And it also provides a due diligence system that I'll go into a bit more to deliver controlled sources. This is part of our third-party certification system. And we address some key issues such as health, safety, and labor. And then we have one part called the trademark, which is how to communicate. Sorry, now, next. So we often think about where does our certificate come from, or how do you get certified? In the bottom right-hand corner, you have a certificate, and you either get a chain of custody or forest management certificate from the certification body. And these are some of the international well-known certification bodies. But PEFC has a very strong system behind it, which is what we call third-party internationally accredited certification. So those certification bodies, they have to use the standards that are set by our national governing bodies. You see here those from Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia. They are members of PEFC for the forestry sustainability standards. But we also have an important third process of accreditation done by the national accreditation bodies. Here you can see that the ones from Germany, like DAX, or China, we make sure that they are also members of the International Accreditation Forum. So this brings the international recognition. And this is all based on ISO. And then we can go on to the standards. And we have two core standards, and I'll go into each of those a little bit, but I don't want to forget about the next part of this slide, which we have supporting standards. And this includes how to do group certification, which is very important in rubber, and also requirements for how to use the trademark, which is how we can ensure that our system has integrity. So here you can see the main standards, and the number above them talks about how many requirements there are. Next, thanks, John. So looking at the main standard for sustainable forest management, PEFC has it as an international benchmark standard, and it has 140 requirements under 6 principles. And these are the 6 principles here that cover forest resources, ecosystem health, productive functions, etc. So each one of the national certification systems may have slightly different standards, but they have to have been independently assessed against our benchmark that provides the international mutual recognition of national standards. And then each forest manager, each forest organization that is certified has to meet all of these requirements. Next, please, now. Now to go from sustainable forest management to the chain of custody, this is a supply chain for rubber that can deliver the certified product because the forest or the plantation and the supply chain actors are certified, and they can pass on the claim. The way they pass on the claim is with this left-hand document, which is a document associated with delivery that has a specific claim of PEFC certification for a particular product connected to their chain of custody, connected to their certification, which is on the right-hand side. And each time a claim is passed on, it is checked against our database to make sure that it's valid. And for example, in rubber, making sure that it's inside the scope of the certified entity that is passing you on the products with the claim of PEFC certification. Next, thanks. Another part of the chain of custody I mentioned was the due diligence system. And this is very relevant to rubber because a lot of the rubber source is uncertified. So for that reason, the due diligence system inside our chain of custody, it covers the core elements of sustainability and covers legality so that it can be considered controlled source and mixed with certified material. The process for this is done through these steps: accessing information, completing a risk assessment, having a substantiated concerns management system, and then if there's significant risk suppliers, managing them through a verification program, and if they don't meet the requirements, no placement on the market. So in addition to SFM, we have this due diligence system that allows controlled sources. Next, thanks. Then the last part of our system along the supply chain is a trademark, and this helps to communicate that your company is meeting this list of positive attributes. And our labels we can use on product or we can use off product. So off product could be for the organization, on product could be for block rubber or for rubber wood. And it's each one of these logos that has an individual number that can then be used as part of the traceability system. Next, thanks. So to finish, I would like to answer your question on how to become certified. There are three main steps. One is getting prepared. So contact us, contact your CB, prepare for your audit. I hope it's not all foreign to you because you have other certifications like ISO. Go through the audit and then communicate that you've got certified products and that your organization is certified. So that brings me to the end of the PEFC technical framework. I'll hand it back to you. Thanks, Meow.
Thank you, Richard, for such a comprehensive presentation. A small reminder to everyone, if you have any question, please put it in the Q&A section. We would love to see as many questions as possible. Okay, so now we're going to have a poll question. Mr. A, would you please share the screen? Mr. A, could you share it again, please?
I think the participants can see that.
Oh, okay.
And we have 3 answers already.
Oh. Okay, so the question is, what are type of the PEFC certification? You will have 15 seconds to answer. Mr. A, could you please share screen? It seems I couldn't see it.
I think we can see it when Mr. A closes it. So I think that we've got almost 50%.
Right. Yes. So we have 102, so 50% of participation. Thank you very much for everyone. So we will see few people have let's say not super correct answer, that is the due diligence system. We would like to note here that PEFC have 2 types of certification, that is sustainable forest management and chain of custody. For the due diligence system, that is one mandatory part of the chain of custody. So thank you everyone for the active participating. And now, okay, so with the Puni end, now I would like to invite Rungnapa. Rungnapa is the project manager from Thai Forest Certification Council. Runapa will talk about group certification for rubber smallholder case study in Thailand. The floor is yours, Runapa.
Thank you, Nga. Yes, thank you for introducing me. And good afternoon from Thailand, everyone. Yeah, before I share my experience on group certification in Thailand, I just would like to bring you to the rubber situation in Thailand first. As you know, like Thailand is the biggest suppliers of natural rubber that Thailand delivered the natural rubber about 3.7 million tons to the global market. And the ratio is about 32%. Yes. And the rubber, natural rubber is quite important for Thailand. More than 6 million people get involved in the rubber sector in Thailand, since the rubber growers until the worker or labor who working in the industry. And rubber, natural rubber generate income for Thailand is about $6 billion per year. But the price is not controlled by the supply side. The price is what was controlled by the demand side. Next slide, please. Yes, when we talk about rubber in Thailand, we cannot ignore the key player of the rubber, natural rubber in Thailand. They are smallholders. We can consider smallholders as the backbone of rubber industry. They are very important. And more than 1.7 million rubber smallholders is about 95% growing rubber in Thailand, with the area about 3 million hectares of natural rubber in Thailand. Next slide, please. Yes, and the rubber smallholder, they face many challenges on their living or their income from rubber plantation. Yeah, that Richard introduced a bit on Mrs. Ari. The right-hand side, Mrs. Ari, I met her last year in Trang province, and I introduced her to PEFC, and she became the avatar of PEFC to tell the story or to explain in the rubber from PEFC side. On the left diagram, many people will already understand and know well about the rubber production cycle, which the rubber has planting for 7 years without any income to smallholder. After 7 years, the smallholder can get income from tapping the latex from the rubber trees. And after 25 years, maybe the rubber tree cannot deliver the good production to them, and they have to harvest and replanting rubber again. This is a cycle of natural rubber plantation. Jump in the challenging of smallholder on their living. The first one is the price volatility. Everyone will know well about the price of rubber that affect to smallholder living. And the low productivity. Some of them may not know well about how to treat or to take care of their plantation that can bring the good productivity to them. Also, unsustainable practices and low forestry expertise is another challenges that smallholder don't know well about how to maintain their farm in the sustainable way and how to maintain their farm in comply with the sustainable forest management standard. Next slide, please. Yes, and the certification can somehow help to address the challenges. The first one is improve productivity. Why certification can improve productivity? Because under the requirement of the standard, the smallholder have to learn or to know and to apply the good practice and the best solution, the knowledge that was improved. That's what proven, like they can bring to their farm, and they can get more productivity on their farm. And also some other standards such as GAPs, good agricultural practice, can be implemented in their plantation and also can accept under SFM standard as well. reduce cost of plantation operation. It means like when smallholder they apply the standard and they have to monitor their soil quality and optimize the fertilizer, using fertilizer on their farm. They will not use the extra or excess fertilizer, and they can control their cost of farm management. And the certification can help to provide healthy environment and worker condition. This is one of the key important part under the SFM standard. And the last thing is very important, access to the market. I can say the sustainable rubber product is quite famous and quite a lot of requests from the buyer, but this request from the buyer should come to support smallholder to get certification, and smallholder can access to the high market. Next slide, please. Yes, so this is the first case study that I would like to introduce you. The case study started in Trang province with the Klong Pang Rubber Fund Cooperatives, include 250 smallholders with 400 hectares of rubber plantation. You can see the small piece of land, but the huge number of members because the smallholder they have the tiny of the rubber plantation area. And this project was initiated by rubber cooperatives that named Klong Pang Rubber Fund Cooperative. This project was established in February 2020 with support by Thailand Forest Certification Council, or we can say TFCC, which is the NGB, National Governing Body of PEFC in Thailand, under the Federation of Thai Industry. And Rubber Authority of Thailand, or RAOT, which we consider they are the government, and the Innovate Rubber, this is the private sector that they come to support this project as well. And they're starting to prepare for SFM in August 2020, and now they are getting in the audit process. Next slide, please. Yes, and next case study is quite interesting. This is in the Stone province. This project initiated by Rubber Authority of Thailand, the provincial, the Stone province, which include two cooperatives. The first one is Kwan Kalong Rubber Fund Cooperative, and the second one is Chalem Pakiat Rubber Fund Cooperative. At the two cooperatives, there are 600 smallholders get involved with the area about 1,000 hectares. This project has started in March 2020, initiated and supported by IoT, Stone Province. During the starting of the project, IoT collaborated with Thai Industrial Standard Institute, or TC, and Royal Forest Department, or RFD, and also Thailand Forest Certification Council to the three organizations come to support IoT to build up the group certification under the national certification system. And you can read some of the quote from Mr. Prasit Kaoyen, the Director of Rubber Authority of Thailand, Stone Province, why he decided to support his team to start working with the national certification system, and IoT quite strongly support for national certification standard as well. Next slide, please. Yes, and I can see some impact from the case study. The group certification board can be like a prototype model that deliver the reasonable cost and more practical when compared to the previous case or another case. And this case study can improve knowledge of rubber smallholders to understand more about the environmental issue that the standard has required, and get to let them understand more about what is the key issue on the biodiversity protection and environmental ecologically important area, such a native species, what kind of the species that they have to concern and they have to protect, and also to not being the unsustainable practice on the farm. And improve safety working condition of rubber farmer is also another impact of them, and they can learn more how to work with safety condition and how to tell their worker to working safety, more safety. And the last thing, facilitate and establish market linkage between producer and buyers. This is also another impact that we should we get from this project. This case, that is a case study. Next slide, please. Yes, and I can say the strength about the group certification in Thailand. One of the strength is the cooperative model, that you can start with the existing cooperative to help you to start for the group certification, because the cooperative, they have the legal entity, which is the one of the requirement under the group standard, group FM standard. And they also have a formal group formation that you need to start from the ground or zero stage to let everyone come together. And the interaction among the members is quite good because they know each other. And the strength of the rubber cooperative is like they have a power to negotiate for the price of with their customer, and also share benefit and responsibility under the organization is one of the benefit from cooperative model. Next slide, please.
Shumnapa, we are a little bit run out of time. Could you please finish within maybe 1 minute, please?
Okay, right. So this is a quite important slide that I cannot pass it. This is the key actors in Thailand, and also the supportive policy from Thailand that you can access to them and you can be partner with them. You can easily to get group certification in Thailand. Next slide, please. Yes, and this is the last slide that I would like to request your collaboration to help us to address the barriers from smallholders, such as we can provide and can help them to get to know more about forest design to maintain the farm, and we can think about how to provide the technology or tools to reduce their workload on standard implementation. And also, I think building professional consultant is another way to support the cooperative or smallholder to maintain their group certification. And the last thing, and very important, the demand from the buyer is very important. I hope we can be a good partner in the future with the rubber producer. Thank you, Ma. Hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Shumnapa, for the informative sharing of the case study. I believe there's much more to explore about this work on the ground in supporting smallholder. So if anyone interested to learn more about this, please feel free to contact Rumnapa. So now we will go into the poll question. Mr. A, so here is the poll. Could everyone see the poll? Okay. Yes. Awesome. So the question is, what is the group certification approach in Thailand? You have a few more seconds to answer. Okay, I think the people still keep answering and we see the increase of participation. Thank you very much. So let's look at the incorrect answer first. So the answer number C is wrong because PEFC and PEFC national members often work with the government to support forest owner in achieving their certification. So the correct answer are A and B, partner with Rubber Authority of Thailand and use existing cooperative. So this is also to remind you the PEFC approach that we always explore the opportunities to work with the national stakeholder. For example, for the government's agency, research institutes, and existing organization for farmers, so that we don't need to reinventing the wheel in order to achieve sustainability in the rubber sector. So thank you everyone for all the answer. So now let's move on to the last presentation of today. Please welcome Mr. Truong from Vietnam Rubber Group. So Mr. Truong is a member of Steering Committee on Sustainable Development. He will present first achievement of implementing sustainable forest management and chain of custody certification. Please welcome Mr. Truong.
Thank you. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am Diệp Xuân Trường, member of the Steering Committee for Sustainable Rubber Development in Vietnam Rubber Group. Today, on behalf of VFC, I would like to present the topic on the first reason implementing certificates on the sustainable forest management and chain of custody. My presentation divided into 5 parts. Next, please. So let's start introduction about Vietnam Rubber Group. VFC current clearly had 5 main business fields: natural rubber, rubber products, wood processing, industrial park, and high-tech agriculture. Regarding to natural rubber, VFC had rubber area of 2,650 hectares in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. Next, please. Being a leading company in natural rubber in Vietnam, we have long-term strategic plan for sustainable development. Since 2019, we have been developing the sustainable development program based on 3 factors. First, Vietnam policy on sustainable development and sustainable forest management, strategies, organization for sustainable development and relating action plan. We approached by government since 2004. Sustainable forest management in Vietnam were regulated in laws on forest protection and development 2004 and currently required by the laws on forestry 2017 with the encouragement to get certificates and the voluntary forest owner. Second, of demand rubber market. Fulfill the commitment for forest protection. Many enterprises have policy of only buying natural rubber and rubber wood with a certificate of the sustainable forest management. And some of our customers also require certified natural rubber and rubber wood at a higher price. And the final factor is our strategy. Being a largest natural rubber and rubber wood producer, VFC is always aware of being a sustainable enterprise to provide its commodities adapting to market. We have developed the Sustainable Development Program, including implementation certificate on sustainable forest management. Next, please. So from the side, you can see sustainable development program from 2019 2024, and we identify sustainable development as one of VFC key policy. Economic development must be associated with social responsibility and environmental protection. VFC sustainable development is associated with the country's sustainable development and international commitment signed by Vietnam. Ensure environmentally friendly production, implement corporate social responsibility, and support local community. It include the activity of strengthening the implementation of sustainable forest management and COC certificate. Next, please. So the process implementing certificate on sustainable forest management and chart of custody and first reason. In May 2019, VFC have signed ceremony of regulation on cooperation with the Vietnam administration of forestry on the implementation of sustainable forest management certification and 5 pilot implementation of Vietnam forest certificate scheme and the area of 11,400 hectares and VFC COC for 6 rubber processing factory at Phú Riềng, Dầu Tiếng, and Bình Long companies. In May 2020, Vietnam administration, forestry and VFC have remediatory conference on implementation of regulation on corporate, including 2 major events. Awareness certificate to 3 companies and implement for 13 companies of VFC. VFC signed the MOU with experienced partner for support. Next, please. So from 2019 to September 21, 12 VFC member granted certified sustainable forest management according to standard VFC on 55,000 hectares rubber and certified of COC management according to international standard VFC COC for 22 factories. Next, please. And here are VFC member company that have been assessed and certified by reputed inspection organization such as GFA, SCS, and BP. Next, please. This is some picture of VFC certificate and level of VFC certificate natural rubber products by VFC member companies. Next, please. According to plan, our sustainable FM and COC certificate in 2021, VFC estimate production of certificate natural rubber and rubber wood in 2021 to 2023. Expected data on natural rubber and rubber wood production are shown in the table. Next, please. We have built our plan suitable forest management certificate and COC certificate in 2021. Expected that by the end 2021, over 268,000 hectares rubber tree in Vietnam will complete the sustainable forest management plan under VFCS, of which about 100,000 hectares are expected to have BFC FM certificate, and about 38 factory maybe have BFC COC certificate. However, the complicated COVID-19 pandemic has quickly hindered the process for that certification. Next, please. Finally, we have some benefit of VFC certification, complete with the suitable forest management plan and Vietnam forest certification scheme have VFC met VFC international standard for sustainable forest management and chart of custody, bringing VFC FM certificate for 55,000 hectare rubber and BFC COC for 22 natural rubber processing plant. Implementation of BFC certificate has brought for VFC benefit, including improving internal management system, increase investment efficiency, reducing negative impact on environment and society, rebuilding market on confidence on VFC capacity in a suitable for rubber forest management and traceable production, offering for VFC opportunity, satisfy new market demand. Some customers have long-term plan to buy BFC certified natural rubber of VFC. It need to have cooperation between actors in the entire supply chain of the rubber industry to commit to the production and consumption of certified production in order to develop a sustainable rubber industry. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Mr. Trương, so much for the insightful sharing. We have learned about enormous effort from VRG and Vietnamese government. So our warmest congratulations on the further achievement in PEFC and VFCS certification. It's really impressive. So now we go into the last pool of the day. So Mr. A, could you please show the pool question? Thank you. So the question is, how many hectare, tons, and cubic meter of natural rubber and rubber wood are 100 PEFC certified available in Vietnam? Remember that what is already available. We're not talking about the plan. So I am seeing everyone is taking the poll. Let's give it another 5 seconds. Okay, so while people are keep answering, I see it like over half of number participation. So thank you very much. So I think I should start.
Did we lose now?
I think she has a problem.
Okay, maybe Niels dropped off, so I will take over. I think she was going to comment on the right answer. That's what the majority of the participants selected. That's 55,000 hectares of rubber, 61,000 tons of rubber, natural rubber, and 300 of rubber wood. So I think that will finish the poll, and then we will move to the last information sharing from our side. a small video from Malaysia. I will share my screen, and this will just take 2 minutes. I hope you find it insightful. Sorry, just make sure I've
Thank you, Richard.
okay, no worries. We're just watching the video now.
Awesome, thank you.
My name is Siti Shariza. I'm the Senior Manager for the Forest Management Unit. I have with the Malaysian Timber Certification Council since 2012. By controlled sources in PEFC, what we mean is that this timber or this raw material was sourced from areas that we know exactly where it came from. We know the origin of the timber. Controlled source for rubber, basically, this proof that this timber has come from plantation, that it is not from the natural forest or that is not illegally logged. So we know exactly the origin of the raw material that is used in the industry, basically. So that's what we mean by controlled source. We have seen how hard it is for us to build our own scheme and to get it recognized in the market. So PEFC is already there, basically. It is already recognized in the market. It has developed its scheme, it's working. I think it is a strategic way to partner with PEFC in trying to champion sustainable rubber and trying to champion sustainable management of plantation and chain of custody, because the system is there, it is tried and tested, and there's a lot of support, technical knowledge in PEFC that can be shared with all these different stakeholders who are new, in the sector, who are new in the field of certification and sustainability. So partnering with PEFC can obtain such a support, and basically we'll be able to access the market in terms of marketing and in terms of communicating what a sustainable rubber and sustainable production of rubber and rubberwood is.
Okay, so I will stop sharing the screen and go back to Nya.
Thank you, Richard, very much. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed the video. Now, I would like to invite all three speakers back on the stage, and we're going to the panel discussion. So as we are short of time, so let me start with Runapa. We see from the Q&A, there are so many questions for you, Runapa. So let me start first. The question is, how would you advise to start group certification in Thailand?
Yeah, thank you, Nya, for bringing me the question. I would like to answer in a short and sharp, because I think we run off the time already. Yeah, I would like to recommend the company or the people who would like to start group certification in Thailand to start to engage with the private sector and to partner with the local organization such as Rubber Authority of Thailand or TFCC or Royal Forest Department, other organizations that can help you to start group certification with smallholder in Thailand. That's
Thank you.
My suggestion. Thank you.
That's great. So let me go into Mr. Trương, please. We have few questions for you. So the first one will be related to the technical one. How do you maintain separation between PEFC certified and uncertified material within the plantation and factories?
Thank you for your question. So I'm sorry because my camera is broke down. I can turn on the camera. Yeah. So I answer the first question. During trade, company didn't get VFC certificate for their entire area, but only a partial part of their rubber plantation. For remaining area which are not BFC certified, company have implemented due diligence system, DDS, and implement risk assessment and risk management to make their material sources become controllable. For VFC, BFC certificate material and BFC control, company apply one of three methods based on their needs and match BFC requirement. Because the nature of latex industry is doing mark and continuous production. Our member company apply the credit methods. The application of other two methods, physical separation and a single percent, will depend on production condition on order. Company will regularly implement BFC certified for the remain area until it reaches 100%. Regarding to material purchase from smallholder could be included under the certification scope as control. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trương, for the really insightful and with a lot of practical experience from the factories. So the second for Rumnapa, in the case that how can smallholder to be included into the certified supply chain if they cannot able to apply sustainable forest management because lack of resources? So what is your advice?
Yes, I think maybe regarding of the video from City that talking about control source, this is one of the solution that can bring the smallholders that are not ready to be part of the SFM, but they can start in the control source part, which under the COC, VFC COC standard. This is the way to get familiar with the standard and can be step up to the SFM in the future. I would recommend.
Thank you. So Richard, the question of PEFC certification course is frequently asked. Would you like to give some comments on this, please?
Yes, I did get this question a couple of times in the chat, and it's hard to estimate per hectare because of the scale and complexity of the production system. But there are two types of costs. There's the direct costs, which are associated with the audit. It depends on whether it's a COC or SFM. The COC audits, actually in some countries you get included for free, but if it's a single organization, it would be as low as $1,000 up to about $5,000 for most enterprises. For SFM, it starts around 5,000 to up to probably 15,000, but this could be 1 or 2 million hectares. So the costs varies. They're the direct costs, the indirect costs for change of practice or improving the management system or changing suppliers. That is a cost that is hard to estimate, and it depends on the current practices of the organization. Thanks.
Thank you. So we have, I think we have the time for the last question to Mr. Trương. We have talked a lot about how to implement certification. So I would like you to share very briefly about how the PEFC certification have helped your company to open the market for the product.
Thank you. Some long-term customer having interest in sustainable products have begun to navigate with VIC to develop a long-term consumption plan for VFC certificate products of VIC and our member company as a price higher than the market price. These are positive signal that VFC strategy in sustainability in line with the market trend, and they are also motivation for us to continue us to the strengthen certification products. Besides, we have been actively working with VFC for connecting with some new potential customer who are committed to supporting the supply chain of natural rubber and rubber wood with VFC certification, such as some potential customer in sport and rubber wood furniture. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, Richard, Rungnapa, and Mitchung very much for this panel discussion. And thank you everyone for all the questions. We apologize that many questions has been answered live during the panel discussion, but I believe some of them Richard have replied in written. For those that we haven't had chance to address today, we will follow up through the email, and we also try to address them in the next webinar. So thank you, everyone. So now we're going to the last section of today, where we'll hear from Richard, who will share some collaboration opportunity for the consideration. Please, Richard.
Thank you, Nya. So we want to talk about how we can collaborate. There's been many questions here about how to get guidelines, and so we would like to work together to drive the sustainable rubber. First is general communication. Like you've seen on the chat, we are active on the social media. Please do reach out to us and we can amplify the sustainable rubber message. Getting involved via our website, you will be kept up to date on upcoming events. There is a range of technical through to marketing and everything in between coming up. And then lastly, we have brochures, infographics for in multiple languages, including Japanese, Indonesian, Thai, Vietnamese. So that's general communications for getting engaged online. And then looking about how do we do something together, we can raise the bar and help each other reach higher. So we can co-host communication events with your supply chain. We can do bespoke trainings, especially with our decentralized membership. We have a lot of resources in the local language. Next, thanks. And what we would also like to collaborate on, and we have had some, you've seen some of them today, but is investing in a pilot project. So we hope that we could do a pilot project with different actors, private sector or governments or donors, to support long-term certified supplies, to provide partnerships with minimal risk because of our local expertise and flexibility. And then we would also like to validate our PEFC framework, like I introduced in the presentation, against your company's policies and how you can use our certification as a tool to meet your policies. And together we can demonstrate our commitment to sustainable development. So that's a third type of collaboration we would like. And then the last one, which will be the focus of our next webinar in November, is market linkages. So how can we connect? And there was one question about a platform. We have the Rubber Task Force within PEFC, and we will help to support inclusive views and policies to support a range of assurance models, controlled source, certified, and ensure that you have an inclusive approach to assurance models. And then the other part of the market linkages is to connect to our pilot projects. So you saw what volumes are available now, what forests are certified in the few countries. it's great if you can link to these. And then looking the other way from upstream to downstream is talking to your buyers and other people closer to the customer, such as retailers, to develop their markets for sustainable natural rubber. So that's the last type of collaboration we would like to work on. And this is back to our foundation of thinking of RE to improve market access and productivity for the rubber sector. And from this, we hope that we've shown the way. We hope that you see the path is lit, and now it's up to us to follow. So that is the second webinar for supporting sustainable rubber. I'm very happy to receive any questions or comments that we couldn't address. And I would say thank you very much. Nya, you can finish things.
Thank